Okay, so first one is stretches for the lung and large intestine. So the lung meridian starting in the upper chest. So the stretch, one of the stretches here, and I'm going to show three. The first one is taking the palm of the hand and coming just medial of the head of the humerus and compressing as we mobilize overhead. So compressing, mobilizing, and then releasing. And you notice that I'm on one knee and one foot so that my body more readily moves forward with the motion. The second one is coming and sitting at a right angle to the person and even with their head. And my bracing foot is coming and making contact on the side of the torso. So it's slightly turned so it's on the same angle as the ribs. And the arm is in between my legs and the palm is up. And we're just going to lean back to get the stretch. And if your feet are clean, you can use it to help stabilize the head too.
Oh, wow.
Okay. This last one is to stretch and open up the joints and the fascia. So the arm starting in neutral. I'm holding on here in this fashion so it doesn't put any additional stress on the person's wrist. And the arm is close to the body so that when you lean back, they get the most depression of the shoulder girdle here and not lateral flexion. So you're leaning back with your body weight, taking the slack out of the arm. And you keep that tension as you slowly roll the palm upwards. So you're unwinding the arm. And they'll feel it where they're going to feel it, the fascia unwinding, maybe wrist, maybe elbow, sometimes shoulder, wherever feels good. Now the source point or balancing point for the lung meridian, as the meridian runs in this direction, the source point or balancing point is at the wrist crease. At the end of the wrist crease, there's a slight indentation, and it's in line with the thumb. So it's directly distal or below the thenar eminence. So the lung meridian point, you find the indentation, stimulation, and a lot of times I'll move the hand towards the point, which allows it to go into the subo. So that's for lung. Its yang partner, large intestine, which starts on the index finger and runs just on the inside of the radius and up in between the anterior and posterior, the anterior and medial heads of deltoid and over and onto the face. The stretch for the portion that runs through the arm for large intestine. Do with a couple of variations. So this first one, stretching, as you can see, using their body weight to help establish some nice movement here. The second variation is coming down, placing your foot at their waist, and then just coming across and really stretching. The source point or balancing point for large intestine is large intestine 4. And if you move the thumb towards the index finger, you'll see a crease here at the back of the hand. And you place your thumb at the top of the crease and direct the energy up underneath the index finger to stimulate subo. You feel? Yes? No?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
And hold maybe 6-12 seconds is customarily a couple of breaths. Okay. The next pair of meridians is for stomach and spleen. So the stomach meridian starts just below and even with the eye and it comes down to the corner of the mouth and circles up through the masseter up to the top of the head, where it goes internal and comes out in front of the SCM down to the top of the clavicle, out laterally and straight through the pec, down just lateral of the rectus abdominis, and it comes out just distal to the ASIS and runs down just lateral of the patella. And as it continues down the lateral lower portion of the leg, it comes just immediately lateral of the tibial ridge. So it's that groove between the tibia and the tibialis anterior, right in that groove there. And the source point is right on the top of the dorsum of the foot where it meets the ankle. There's this little indentation between the two tendons, and you can stimulate the point by placing thumb here and moving the foot towards your thumb. Okay?
Ooh, wow.
So to stretch the stomach meridian, we showed primarily in prone position, so if you could turn over, please. So following that, where the location of the meridian is, we're going to stretch this lower portion here, and this is simply done by coming up like this. So I'm on one knee and one foot again, so that when I lean forward, my balance is good. And I'm going to motion the heels, the calcaneus, towards the gluteals. So my arms are straight, so I can just use my body weight. And I come back and just put the arch of one foot over the dorsal surface of the other. Lean in. And reverse. If you are working on someone who is a little bit more flexible, you can place your foot between their knees and lift up, so just relax your legs. And you can lift up more like this. To get the upper portion, there's a couple of variations. So this first one, grab a hold of mine, and this is standing cobra, so stretches that upper portion. Another variation is now that your acclimation is lower, so you're down, and you're going to cup the front of their shoulders. Now you're okay. The front of their shoulders, and your hands are nice and flat. So just inhale and relax, and exhale, and just sit back like this. Another variation is if you ask them to clasp their hands behind their head. You move up so you're not overextending in your lower back, and you're going to just place your hands right on the bottom side of the elbow. Inhale, please, and exhale up. Easy. People who do mat work a lot to do this one, they'll do a squattus position, so you can support on your thighs if you're flexible like that. That allows them to hang down a little bit more. And remember, if you're trying to do this stretch on a table, you do it from the head of the table, and obviously you're standing on the ground, and you would just lift with your legs this way, and they get a nice stretch. Really, it's a good chest opener too. Okay, and if you would turn over, please. This last one is for spleen, which is the yin partner of the stomach. And the spleen meridian, so stomach and spleen associated with pensiveness, worry. The spleen meridian starts at the nail of the big toe and comes right on the side of the foot and right up underneath the tibia. So all this underneath here, show her face for a second. Here, so, and it runs up through the adductors onto the torso. So any displacement of the leg from the midline. So I start easy just by moving here, see what you're working with. One good thing is to try to keep the opposite side stable so that it makes for a more defined stretch. So you can stabilize her with the foot and just simply move hands up. So she has nice movement here, easy movement until I feel any form of restriction. So I'm going to have to move my stuff up, and I'm going to use this variation where it's placed on top of the foot so I can mobilize it more easily this way. Another variation of this is, for some reason, more. You come stable as here. Nice stretch here. If someone is very tight through the adductors, but you still want to address the meridian, simply placed figure 4 in this fashion starts to gently open up the pathway of the meridian. And if their knee is a healthy distance from the mat and you feel like you can take some compression, then I would add a little compression. At first I would stabilize the opposite side here. And I'm placing the palm of my hand right over her right ASIS, stabilizing the pelvis. My other hand on the inside of the knee. Inhale, please. And exhale, just slowly down like this. The source point, the balancing point for the spleen meridian, is at the base of the big toe. So this is the first metatarsal. So may I take your sock off? So you can see this physical structure of the underlying skeleton here. So the toe, bone, 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 no bone at the base of the fifth metatarsal. So where the red skin meets the white skin, this line right here, you place your thumb right at the base of the fifth metatarsal, and you'll feel for this little indentation here. And then you're going to bring the toe back towards you, so it brings the body right onto your thumb, so you stimulate the spleen. And release. So that's the business. Okay, thank you.